Hello, Mzansi. As you know, Hollywoodbets always gives back to the sporting world here in South Africa. It's no different from a journalistic point of view. As many of you will know, earlier this month, the South African Football Journalists Association Awards were held. And from there were some big winners from a sporting point of view. There were also big winners from a journalistic point of view. And Hollywoodbets getting right behind this drive as well as we go on to find out more about that.
Every year, the South African football media machine comes to a standstill as some of the nation's leading journalists head to the SAFJA Awards, which are proudly powered by Hollywoodbets. This year, the South African Football Journalists Association headed to MultiChoice City to host its prestigious event, and it proved to be the perfect venue for the occasion.
Well, the SAFJA Awards are a very important part of our football calendar, and especially the greater football ecosystem. The South African Football Journalists Awards is a resemblance of, how the journalists within this space are able to recognize themselves as peers, as well as the outstanding women footballers and the outstanding men's footballers that played throughout the 2024 and 2025 season. So it's a really exciting event to be a part of, and there's some interesting additions to this year's categories with the Kasi Football Tournament of the Year, which we're really excited about and to see. And we are really looking forward to another fantastic day of awards where we recognize the best footballers in our country.
An occasion like this is, I think it's a culmination of a lot of hard work that goes into the stories that we read, the breaking news when it comes to the beautiful game, of course, that we see on television, on the screens. Today we finally get an opportunity to celebrate those that are behind all of those wonderful stories and those that fuel the passion that we have for football.
From a footballing point of view, the big award winners on the day were Ikram Reyners and Boitumelo Rabale, who were named as the Men's and Women's Player of the Year respectively, while amongst the scribes, Mthokozi Zidube won the Written Journalist and Journalist of the Year awards, while the Gussie Games of the Year went to the Kaba Cup.
Look, I was in disbelief, especially when the second award, my name was mentioned for the second award. And this is because when I looked at the list of journalists that were nominated for the award, I think incredible journalists who've done some exceptional work. So, but to go in and receive the awards is very encouraging for me, and it challenges me to continue working hard.
Unfortunately, I'm very happy. Bengalindele ukuthi ngaba yiwinner, especially ngoba i-tournament yami seyinje. Iqale 2022, it's been 4 years ikhona. So ukunominate nje bekuyinto enkulu mina.
That's the first reason why I became involved with Hollywoodbets, for the fact that they're giving so much back to the community and to, most important, to Kasi football, where I started, where I was scouted and became a professional footballer. So for me, it means the world to me, and to still be part of it and to see it growing yearly. I'm very proud of it.
We are super proud as Hollywoodbets to be part, of the revival of the energy and the spirit, of South African football. If you see how well Bafana Bafana and Banyana Banyana have done over the recent years, it's just such a fantastic resurgence of spirit, of hope, of determination, and of belief that one day our football, will take its rightful place at the top. And as Hollywoodbets wouldn't want anything better than to be a part of that and a part of that growth. So it's really fantastic to be a part of these awards.
Hello, Mzansi. Once again, Hollywoodbets brings you GameON. I'm Caesar Mapena, proud to be in your company on a day when we bring you so much, and there's so much to talk about with the international window just closed and the FIFA World Cup qualifiers having just happened. There's the MTN8 final to look forward to later on today. And of course, before we get to all of that, before we get to our two legends, we have to celebrate excellence. A brother and sister of the show joined me nice and early here in Lonabamiso, as well as Mthokozi Dube. Congratulations to the both of you, and just straight off the bat, for your lovely work over the years, but most recently, and very recently, of course, both of you are winning some big awards in the way of the South African Football Journalists Association Awards. Broadcast Journalist of the Year, Lonabo?
Yes.
Pick up.
Thank you so much.
So, Journalist of the Year?
Thank you
so much. So we're surrounded by excellence, yeah? And I'll start with you, Lonabo. With the years you've put into this, to start to, I'm not going to say start to get the recognition, but to get the sort of recognition. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It feels amazing, particularly because people see me on TV and they think, oh, this is a new girl in the industry. They don't know that 2014, I started on radio 2000. So it's 12 years actually that I'm celebrating in radio. So for me to get the nod, but particularly to get it from industry colleagues means more. You know, I mean, I was surrounded by people I highly respect in the industry, and to know that the judging panel is senior journalists that have been around for long, and for them to see my work and think it deserves a nod, I was just so excited and happy.
It's got this terrible habit. Every time I work with her, she says, "Sis, if you have any questions that you think I should ask, please." I'm always thinking, your questions are great. There's nothing I can tell you. But anyway, let's talk about your career. To get here, some of the struggles you had to get through to get this recognition you're getting now.
Yeah, man, it's been an interesting journey. I mean, obviously, because I think I just switched to sports reporting 5 years ago when COVID started. I was always a crime reporter.
Wow.
You know, but I loved football, so I think the transition was very easy for me because of my love for the game. Yeah. But obviously, I mean, with journalism, you obviously have to sacrifice a lot. You know, time. Sometimes resources, and I think that's the biggest challenge that we have, because to cover stories and be a credible journalist, you need to be on the ground and speak to people and, you know, get to build relations. So that's been the challenge, if I may, yeah.
And I'd love to get both your thoughts on the importance of the SAFJA Awards and awarding journalists for the work they do. I mean, with the way the world is evolving, social media, anybody can almost pick up a microphone and a camera and say, look, I'm a journalist, and start to ask questions. For the true journalists in the building, those that get the recognition you guys have gotten, how important is it to get that recognition and to separate Jack from Jill, so to speak? This is a real journalist, and this is someone who's interested in maybe having a conversation online.
It's very important, Cesar, because as you're saying, there are a lot of, anyone can say I'm a journalist now.
These days,
and just because you put videos on TikTok, you can call yourself a journalist. But that separates from, as Umto said, the resources that you need, the time that you put in, sitting, not sleeping, because you're researching, expertise as well. And sometimes even education. Some of us actually took some sort of education to get to where you are. And that is, SAFJA then says, on top of that, we're going to say we're an organization that recognizes credible football journalists in the country. And being a journalist is a thankless job. We're always attacked on social media. Your facts are always questioned. As a woman, your facts are questioned 5 more times than they are from top, because people don't see you as a credible person. So an organization like SAFJA to say, no, actually, we see you and we think your work is great is a massive achievement.
We hope you guys keep growing and keep doing the lovely work you're doing in your service to South African sport. And again, take our hats off to you and congratulate you for the great work you've been doing and for receiving your awards.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, there you have it. The Journalist of the Year and the Broadcast Journalist of the Year in the first segment of Game On. Now, we take a short break, come back, and Haskins steps up to the plate, as does Jerry Skosana, as we talk about what's been happening in the international window. Stay with us.
Be in the game.
Welcome back to Game On once again, and now the legends join me, of course, in Haskins as well as Kosana, and it's time to talk about Bafana. Gentlemen, good to be in your company. Let's look back over the last couple of matches. Fortunately for South Africa, both of them were home matches, although one was an away match in inverted commas, so to speak, and talk firstly of Hugo Bruce. Going into these games, he spoke of the difficulties he's had in this camp ahead of the 2 matches, because of the injuries and the changes to the squad, more so to the back 4. Mark, your thoughts about the new look back 4 and how they fared, although for Mobi, he didn't last too long before he had to be injured. Again, for Mjunyani to come in and replace him, another inexperienced player.
I must say, I don't know when last I've been this excited about a Bafana team.
Yeah.
I think I remember watching the Legends back in the day when I was a kid.
Yes.
Going to stadium all the time, and I was so excited about Bafana. I don't remember when last I felt that way. I feel that way about this team. When you look at what Hugo Broos has done with this team, it doesn't matter who's not available.
Yeah.
When last could we say that about Bafana? We don't miss anyone. Like, literally, we have like-for-like replacements in just about every position. I think, obviously, we know what Ronwen Williams brings to the team. He's probably the one guy that you feel, we'd miss him if he wasn't there, because our play is centered around Ronwen Williams and how good he is with his feet. But I love this Bafana team. And so we saw coming into the camp, the two players that were replaced, Ime Ocon, and it was at Pirates, Maswangani. I don't know what. The two players that replaced him started.
Yeah, which is a big shock.
Where do you find that? Where you get two replacement players, but they're both in the starting lineup. And that speaks to the depth of Bafana, and that's what I love. And so I'm really excited about where we are right now and what's happening in this Bafana team.
That back four, of course, Ndinyana coming in off the bench immediately, and Mulisani another that picked up an injury, and Undamani coming on in his place. How did it look to you, Bracheri, in the way South Africa controlled the game and went on to score goals and build from there again? Nkota with the breakthrough, an inexperienced player who's looking to find his way in the international stage. But it seems like Umak is saying they're all fitting in well. How did you see that Lesotho game?
One thing that I like about Mark now, the comparison that he's just saying now between the first Bafana, because even myself, before I got in there was this, what they call the understanding of players that wants to play together. Yes, the age was not on their side, most of them, but because they knew each other. This is what is happening. But now, look at the youth that is in this team. Look at the way they want to play for each other. I mean, you look at Zuko Mtunyela. I mean, somebody that it doesn't have that big name to somebody that we knew before. And I was also surprised when I saw again Kapini that came on for, I think, Mudiba later on, if I'm not mistaken, in the like against Nigeria. So you look at that depth. Wow, for me, yes, they talk about Mbogazi, but me, I will single out Mbole. What a player that he was against Nigeria.
But let's start with Lesotho. Right there, we're on Lesotho now.
But for me, I just want to wrap everything up.
Don't worry, we got time.
But no, I'm even there, but I'm with you, Brajer.
It's serious. Let's wrap everything up.
No.
Guys.
Listen, I say that to say this, because the Lesotho wins, keep in mind, the same venue. Both games.
Yeah.
The Lesotho win set up the Nigeria game. So the thinking is, how important is that win against a tough Nigeria side, and for the inexperienced players to get the confidence going into the Nigeria game? You get where I'm coming from?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say, because we're mixing.
So the Lesotho win
that happened with Lesotho.
Start with Lesotho
but
and
there was a change of a squad that faced Nigeria. Imagine if you are on the outside. You sit on the outside, I'm doing well as a striker, and then when you get a chance, before you could even play, when your moral wasn't that much like mine, then I get to sit, you get to start, and then you still keep the level. I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying in terms of these youngsters. Look at what Nigeria did. I mean, I'm sorry, because yes, we talk about Lesotho, but look at what Nigeria did when they changed their back four. They changed the back four. The captain had to come in when he didn't play, when they played Rwanda.
Yeah, he didn't play before.
The goal scorer, which is Passé, the 21, he was playing left back, looking after Nkota. But later on, they had to change because they saw what happened. The goal that we scored came from that area because of Nkota's pace. But I cannot take that away to say the overall of this generation now with Hugo Broos, marvelous.
I have to ask both of you this question. With regards to the Nigerian game, the big issue here, which Hugo Broos mentioned before the game as well, was size, strength. And it mattered in this game. It was physical, the way they scored their goal and the way they were hanging those balls up there. How did we adjust in playing to our strengths and also in dealing with the size and strength of the Nigerians? Mark?
Again, I think we did exceptionally well. If you look at the balance of play, especially in that first half, because in the second half, both teams, we just nullified one another. You can't say that either goalkeeper made great saves or anything. The second half, both teams cancelled one another. But the first half, South Africa controlled the game. It's literally in that crucial phase, the last 5 minutes of the game. one lapse of concentration, and I feel that goal was avoidable.
Yeah.
You can't have a Basi jumping over one of our bigger defenders, literally jumping over him to get to the end of the ball.
Reminded me of Vince Carter at the Olympics when he jumped over to dunk on the one player. Yeah.
That showed the desire of Basi there. So it was one lapse of concentration, but for 40 minutes plus, we controlled. Nigeria were no threat at all, because what I loved about what Coach Hugo Bruce did, and you can see that the technical team, the plan was, Nigeria are quick. They want to use their pace behind. We just dropped off, low block. There was no pace to exploit. Now they must try and play and break us down. Nigeria can't do that.
Which is not their strength of
They
playing the
can't
ball
do
around
that.
like the way we're playing. I mean, I'm just echoing what Mark is saying. I mean, the beauty that we are supposed to do was like to play around with our being fluent, you know, the movement, because that's how we got them. But we should have got the goals. I think before they get the equalizer, we should have got another 2 or 3 because we were all over them, honestly speaking. I
We
think
controlled the
maybe
game.
everything wasn't on our side. They even scored a goal for us. But I think it's something which we need to build on and just take it forward because it was positive.
Well, as things stand, South Africa still lead Group C with 3 points ahead of Benin. Nigeria, they're in third spot on 11 points. So South Africa on 17, Benin on 14. Up next, in the next international window, is trips, a home game against Zimbabwe, I believe it may very well be, and a game against Rwanda that could very well see South Africa qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So we take a short break, we come back. On the other side, we talk about what's happening locally and things to look forward to. Welcome back to Game On now. Cherise Kosana stays with me as we just conclude one more thing in as far as the World Cup qualifiers. And we've spoken about Bafana and the match has gone by, Jerry. Time now to look ahead. The gap, only a 3-point gap at the top, 2 more matches remaining. How important is that first game against Zimbabwe to get maximum points in what could be a home game for South Africa, just to relieve the pressure going into the last game?
Yes, I think looking by the way we are now, remember, we don't have the right and also the 3 points guaranteed against the case Lesotho put on as a complaint in Mokoena. Yes, Tebogo Mokoena with the yellow card. So for me, I think we really need to win this one. But my only worry is when you play somebody who's wounded, who knows that he's not going to go anywhere. We'll try and do, you know, so we really need to be cautious against Zimbabwe. Because we really need the 3 points. In fact, we need the whole 6 points.
Yeah,
you know, just to be on the safe side. Because we cannot say now we 3 points ahead. If 3 points gets taken, we are like same points with Benin. Calculators again, and then something horrible happens like the last time. So we really need to win the 2 games remaining, Zimbabwe and Rwanda.
Imagine speech, Jimopega player that were included in this last 2 fixtures. The players that came in because of injuries and so on. There's those that, of course, will set out amongst Mosangani. Do you think it's going to be tougher for them to fight their way back into the squad or the competition?
I think the competition is high, honestly. For me, this is what you really need in football, where it will up your game to say, if I want to be in the team and Sizwe is doing well, I need to up my game. Yeah. So this is exactly what we really need, not where you've got players that just walk into the park, they know whatever that they do, there's nobody that can challenge them. So I think the squad now, with what is happening, wherever our right back, which is Mudau, Mudau, and then I looked at Zuko, and then you look at Modiba as well, and then you look at Kabini. Those are the areas that you need to say, we are in par with everybody that is there, and I'm more than happy that these youngsters
Mbule
in the middle of the park. Yes, you know. So it's more like a cautious thing to everybody to say we've got boys that want to play. We've got the Bafana that has got a bunch of players that are so energetic to go and showcase whatever the coach puts. I think we like in the same par.
Okay, now. Let's move away from the international speaking the cup final and Namhlanje. How tough is it, being a coach, because when you're a coach for yourself, to have the international break come in September after a month a season, have players possibly pick up injuries during that international break, and right after the international break, now final. How tough is it from a coaching point of view?
It is a tough job to do when it comes to that, because you've got players that you feel proud when they go and represent you in the national team, and those players come back injured. So it's a dicey situation where what is it that you need to do as a coach, because you still have another players that are like waiting for this chance to come. So it's where people will look at you and look at how good are you in terms of molding the team around, because if you can have 3 quality players injured and out, who are those that are going to replace them? So it's up to you as a coach.
Mulisani is one of the senior players. He's always constantly there. We're not sure what the scenario is going to final, but how does that throw Upaka off against a team as good as Orlando Pirates?
Remember, Goti, you're looking at like the time before the final. I think when they played on Tuesday with the injury, obviously on Wednesday, they're still going to be in Bloemfontein. Maybe they start going to their teams on that Wednesday, and then on a Thursday, it's a problem. And come today, in the final, we don't know what happened in these 3 days that the club had to come closer to the player. So I think it's more of what the team is going to do. If the player is fit to play again today, good luck to him, but let's hope he doesn't worsen the injury. Because some of the coaches that don't believe in other players, they want to play players, you know, they give you like like what do they call this, injection, like to
play through the pain,
you know, painkiller injection, and I don't believe in that. Give the other guys a chance, let them play. Let's see what's going to happen today.
Big talk from a Pirates point of view, Urilemo Viking. Big game player over the last 2 or 3 years. Mentally, do you think he's possibly affected over the last 2 games, and maybe he hasn't had such a great start to the season as well? And how important is he going into the final?
Let's hope he's there today, you know, to be starting. To me, he's a prolific young boy. I mean, you want to look at the things that he's doing. You always want to put your money on him. So I hope whatever that happened with the national team doesn't affect his morale today. We need him. We want to see him do his best in terms of playing in the final. I mean, that's every young player's dream to be in the final. So let's hope his mindset, maybe somebody should have taken time to go and speak with him, try and encourage him if there is something bad happened in the national team. But I think for today, he's more like a trump card for me.
Team Adela twice in 2 finals in a row. What does that set up for you, Maj? Stellenbosch obviously want revenge. Pirates want to keep the record going and extend the record to 4 in a row. But what does it say to you when you got 2 of the same teams in the final once again? 2 finals in a row.
You know, it's so funny because if you look at the 2 seasons of the PSL, you look at the top 3, same teams.
Same teams, yeah, sure.
And now 2 seasons in a row, same teams in the final. And I hope it's going to be a good game. Obviously, Steve Parker wouldn't want to lose again to Pirates, but let's see how the new coach fare with the team, because he's under pressure. Pirates supporters wants to see Pirates continuing to win the cup, because they were there in the final 4 consecutive years. So now they want to make sure that this is the cup that is theirs.
So let's take the time, of course, to wrap up the issues in as far as the local game is concerned. Mamelodi Sundowns playing against Makesi in what should be an interesting game. Out in England, the Manchester Derby is something to look forward to. Whilst in Germany, the big question is, can Cologne and Bayern Munich, the 2 sides with a 100% win record so far, maintain that win record going into the weekend's action? So, from myself, Susan Mapena, Jerry Skosana, Mark Haskins, we'd like to also take the time to thank Ulonabo as well as Umto that came through early on in the show. We'd like to thank you at home for taking the time to join us here on GameON, and from the rest of the team that is behind the scenes. Until next week, click, click, bang.